and welcome back. If this is your first time here, come on. You are welcome in the name of the Lord. You are welcome in the name of the Lord. We can see all over you the glory of the Lord. You are welcome in the name of the Lord. And if you're returning, come on, of course, you guys are the real OGs. So thank you for always sticking by us. And thank you guys for always coming back. So today we're going to be talking about a very simple topic. I've had lots of questions on it, and so I thought I'll talk about it today. And it's simply, how old is too old? How old is too old to make a career switch or make a career transition, whatever you want to call it? Career change, career switch, career transition, career upliftment, whatever you want to call it. How old is too old? Well, personally, I would want to say that once you're past the age of 25, you can't make a career change, because there's some certain genetics that you can always make a career change anytime. It basically just depends on you and how strongly motivated you are to make that change, right? I wouldn't say recently, it's been 2 years plus, I went from being a trade analyst or a trade operations person to software development. Now, I had contemplated doing this change for quite a while. I basically started from 2016, thinking of moving to tech. I just wanted to move to tech. First things first, was I wanted to move to tech. My motivation at that time was I didn't like branch services because, I worked in a bank. I didn't like branch services, and then moving to tech was like the best way to avoid doing good morning, how may I help you? Good morning, you have a lost debit card, you need a new debit card, or good morning. I'm not good with all of those kind of things, right? And so I thought like moving to tech would allow me to escape all of that, right? And so I started to push for tech. And so first I started with, the easy things to reach out or to reach to. Of course, I was naive, and so I thought the easy thing to reach to would be starting from maybe change management and going through, so I went through ITIL. ITIL is basically like the IT infrastructure library, right? And then it helps, IT change management. And I was like, this should be easy. There isn't too much of code in this. I should be fine. And when I did that, and I still wasn't making any progress, right? Because, anybody can get ITIL. I thought about PMP, and I was like, this was going to take a while. And so I also thought about networking, right? And so I started looking into CCNA routing and switching. So I went into all of those things, the nice things like, understanding the 7 layers, blah, 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 blah. And halfway, I quit again. And then I looked into data science and data analytics. Started picking up Python, taking up courses on Coursera, etc., etc. And again, I quit. And so that's why I say your motivation for wanting to change will determine how far and how much you want to push for that change. So you can make change, you can transition at any age. I know people who have transitioned at the age of 37. I've read stories, I've had colleagues who transitioned at the age of 54 to software development at the age of 54, yes. And so making a change is possible at any age. It just depends on how much you want it. And to make a change, I've basically categorized, you need to ask yourself these 4 questions. First question is, why do I want to make the change, right? Now, the second question is, what do I want to do next? The third question is, when? How long is this change, or how long am I giving myself to make this transition? And finally, the last question is how. And that's where your strategy and your planning comes in. First things first, we want to start with the why. The why is the motivation, right? You need to have a strong why. Why do I want to make this change? Do you want a better work-life balance? Do you want to stop having to commute to work? So imagine you're a salesperson or you're a retail person with like Walmart or Loblaws or I don't know, like a store, right? You're a retail person in a store. I think it would be quite hard to work remotely because you need to interact with customers and well, you need to sell goods, physical goods, right? And so maybe your motivation to change a career is you want to spend more time at home with family. You want to cut commute time so to have more time for yourself to do things that you love. Um, your motivation for career change could also be monetary. There's nothing wrong with wanting more money. There's nothing wrong with wanting to live a better life. The only thing is how strong is that motivation and how strong is that drive? Like, do you think that motivation will sustain you all through the journey? Because let's get one thing straight, like making a career transition is pretty difficult. Like you need to have all of your mindset to it to make it work. Now, the second question you'd ask yourself is, what do I want to do next? And this question is really important, right? Um, One thing is you can move from any career to any career. So you can be a doctor today and decide that you want to be a lawyer tomorrow. You can be a janitor today and decide you want to go work with NASA. Well, okay, that could be an issue because, well, you'd have to be an American citizen. Well, you get the point. You can move from anywhere to anywhere, right? But the thing is, well, when you're transitioning, you quickly realize that the skills you've learned from your past work would also come to bear in your new role, right? And so you want to make the transition in such a way that a lot of the skills from your old role is transferable, right? So imagine you're a customer service person, right? And then you're moving into IT or you want to move into software development. Now, one of the things that you need to consider is as an IT, as a customer service person, you relate with a lot of people, you communicate with people. So the assumption is that you have excellent communication skills, right? As a customer service person, you probably work with a lot of departments to get issues resolved because well sometimes some of the things that you need to resolve are not things that you know or you can handle, and then you need to escalate or get in touch with other units to get it resolved. So you are a team player. We want to assume that, right? So these are skills that are transferable to software development. Like we no longer have that the case where as a software developer you only need to know how to code, and once the issue is brought to your desk, you work on it and you're done. Like, well, as a software developer, you need to relate with product owners, you need to relate with product managers, you need to relate with UX designers, visual designers, or Scrum masters, all of those things, right? So your communication actually comes to play as a software developer. So the better your communication skills, the better you can get things done, right? Also, your communication skills can help you prioritize, right? So you need to, the must-haves, the nice to haves, all of those kind of things. That way you can prioritize the job, right? So moving from customer service to software development, there are skills and there are skill sets that are transferable that you can move with. So when you are thinking of the next thing to do, you want to look into that. You want to look in that line, right? How many skills can I move from job A to job B? What are the things that are common with where I'm coming from to where I want to be? How can I sell my story, right? So that is also a very big part of it. You need to know how to sell yourself. You need to know how to sell your story. You need to make your story relatable. You need to be able to, let people understand what's in your head, right? Because, it helps you to sell yourself better. The third question you need to ask yourself is when. Now, this when is really important, right? I see people giving, I want to call it unreasonable targets, or I I don't know if they are underestimating the task ahead of them, or they just feel that they're Superman and they can just new career, here I come, and they're there, right? So you need to be able to pace yourself well. You need to understand how long it will take realistically to do what it is you need to do. Now, why you need to know the time frame that you're giving yourself, it will also affect the strategy you want to, well, the strategy you want to work with. If you want to move from being a janitor to a data analyst, right? You need to understand all of the things, or all of the hurdles that you need to cross or get through to get to where you're going to. And then you need to pace yourself and know how long that would take. Now, how long that would take would also be dependent on a lot of factors, right? Are you planning to focus 100% on the career transition, or do you want it to be something that is like in a back burner? So I have a day job, in nighttime I focus on career transitioning, then I have a day job again, in nighttime I have focus on that. Like, is that the strategy you're looking at? Or I saved enough money, I'm quitting my job, I'm focusing head on for this career change, and then I'm doing it. So depending on the strategy you want to take, it will also depend. It will also really affect how long you'd want to pace yourself, right? So I've seen people transition in 6 months, 6 months, 6 to 12 months to a new career. I've seen people do it for longer. Some people, it has taken some people some 2-3 years to do it, right? So depending on the plan that you have and the resource that you have to put everything, your resource is not just monetary, right? So your resource can also be information that you get, right? So depending on all of that, it will really affect the when. So lastly, we want to talk about the how, right? I've talked briefly on the how on, well, coming from when, like how long you want to, but in this case, your how is strategy, how you plan to execute all of the things, right? All of these questions are interwoven, right? Your why, your what, your when, and your how. And so what you want to consider is the options available to you. The first thing you need to consider if you're making a move is, what do you have in your hands? Well, okay, so what do you have available to you, basically, right? Because you want to consider making that move internally, because it's more like, well, so example, you work with a large corporation that has different departments and different units. You're comfortable with the culture and the work environment. You know a lot of people there. You can speak with human resource to know how a career transition would work in that environment. And lots of companies actually offer it, right? So you want to ask first if it's possible to move from department A to department B, or change career from career A to career B, and what it entails, right? Because it's easier to do it that way because, well, you have good points. You've scored points with your current employer, right? You've been a good employer. Performance review are good. I want to assume, well, even better than good. Like, you're doing really well, right? And so it's easier for your current employer to trust you with doing well in a new role if they've seen you perform in a different role and perform very well, right? So, of course, it's still going to be difficult, but, well, you're not starting from ground zero. You have something to build on. And that is like the easiest way to make a transition. The second way that I'll think of making a transition is to have a mentor, an expert, a consultant, someone who's very close, who is in that field, that you can sort of work with. And then so you can always get latest update on what you need to work on and on what is required per time for that specific field. There's the option of going through the self-taught route, but I generally don't subscribe to it because it's usually very difficult and there is no structure to your learning. right? And so you want to avoid the self-taught route. Of course, there are some wonderful courses that you can take that can tell you or that can give you the essential skills that you need to perform. But what happens is that you then have the skill sets, but you don't have the networking and you're not strategically positioned to get those jobs, unless, of course, you want to go freelance. I have people who have used the software route, and the software route has actually worked for them. Was just that, well, they had to have more motivation. Well, it's just harder to work with. Like, of course, there are people who um, have made it work. So I'm not totally saying that the self-taught route cannot work, because of course I have people who can testify to it being amazing. And a lot of times, even as well, in whatever role that you are in, you're learning on the job, kind of self-taught, right? Yeah. So finally is you can go back to school, and school comes in different shape, form, and sizes. Um, Depending on what you want to do, there are schools available for you to go learn, reskill, and be better. And some schools even take it like next step, helping you to get internships, um, helping you connect with industry experts that can guide you and providing you with career counseling, etc., that can help your transition, or that can help ease the transition. So we have gone through the why, the what, the when, and the how. Next episode, I will be sharing some of the tools that have helped me in my job search, or like all of the tools that helped me in my job search during my career transition. So you don't want to miss that. So we have come to the end of this episode. Don't forget to like and share this video, because a lot of people in your network need it, right? If you cannot give them money, give them this video. Yes. Until we come your way next time, be safe and adios.